All righty, gentlemen. So we've got some position battles we need to look out for from the Crimson Tide and the Bulldogs. And I keep thinking about what were the weaknesses? Like for those that are just learning about the Bulldogs and the strengths, like what is something everybody needs to look out for in the position battles on Saturday night?
Well, I would say the first thing to look at after the Tennessee game, which is Georgia's first real test, is Georgia's cornerbacks. There were a lot of times where they were on an island against Tennessee receivers, and they just got burned with the ball in the air. Whether it was by Chris Brazzell, just going crazy and winning a one-on-one against Ellis Robinson and Daniel Harris, or just a coverage bust that allowed the Staley touchdown. Like, it was just a bad game from Georgia's cornerbacks for a lot of the time. You just saw a lot of mistakes, and that should be concerning for Georgia, considering that's kind of how they lost to Alabama last year. Couldn't play the ball when it was in the air, and they allowed that freak touchdown to Ryan Williams at the end. So I know those are different players. Or Julian Humphrey is not there anymore. KJ Bolden still is, but that's something I think should be the biggest concern. Is just Alabama's got two really good players at receiver, and Ryan Williams and Jeremy Renard. They have a guy named Ryan Williams who just kind of does this thing. Like, he just goes crazy in these kinds of moments. Georgia's seen it before, so that's the biggest thing I would look at in this game.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing I'm most concerned about as well. Is not only were both DBs getting burned, I guess not both, but both of the cornerback twos were getting burned. Like, Georgia still hasn't solidified that position opposite Dalen Everett, and not only were they getting burned, but it felt like Ryan Williams last year, the way they were doing it, just kind of the little hectic plays where they were falling down and the receivers making the play with no one around him, basically, or running the end zone, no one around him. It gave me PTSD from Tuscaloosa a year ago. So, but the biggest thing I want to see is me and Bo have talked all year about Georgia's linebacker group. Like, it's just, I think it's the best position group on the entire team. And with how Alabama struggled to run the ball so far this year, like, if Georgia's linebackers are as dominant as they kind of should be, I think that's huge if they can make Alabama one-dimensional. But, there's a chance Ty Simpson throws the ball 40 times and Alabama beats Georgia that way with what the secondary's been so far.
And Coach Smook is finally here, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today, good buddy? I'm doing mic check. But I will say while we wait, I've been kind of keeping an eye on the running game, but I know, like, the passing game has been fantastic. Like, we've had a fantastic passing game, especially in games like losing Monroe, Wisconsin. I mean, I know, like, some people are just kind of like, it's not that impressed, but what I saw,
Bluetooth connected.
What I saw, okay. What I saw was Ty Simpson had more trust in his instincts in weeks 2 and 3 than he did week 1. He was a lot better in the past 2 weeks than he was week 1. I mean, like, he trusted himself a little more than he did week 1. And, he's putting up video game numbers. And if he can do that against Georgia, that's going to help the Alabama Crimson Tide. And we have to make sure we get our running game going a little bit, especially with Jam Miller coming back. And, we've got, like, all our other guys at running back just rocking and rolling, getting all set. I'm excited to see what this game can bring on Saturday night.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a big one, man. Can y'all hear me good now?
Yeah.
All right, what's up, fellas? I'm sorry. I thought we had a different start time. That's on me. I was over there doing some other content, man. We got to finish up a series on NCAA, so I was over there trying to get at least game 1 started tonight. But y'all, check this out, man. I jumped in on the tail end and everything. Thank y'all for having me once again. Thank y'all for joining tonight. My Georgia fellas, we got Bo and my guy Matt, man. It's been a long time coming. I've been waiting for this week to come. And I heard what you all said about, the different advantages, the different things that you think will be keys in this victory. But I don't know if anybody said it. We know this game is literally won and lost in the trenches. And in years where both which is very rare in the last 4 or 5 meetings. You know, Georgia has tended to have a dominant defensive front, an experienced defensive front. Alabama is tending to have, you know, problems on their offensive line or, you know, weak spots on their offensive line. And this year, I think you're starting to see it trend in the opposite direction where we see Georgia's D-line is not the D-line we're used to them having, right? They're not getting as many sacks. They're not getting as many pressures. And you see Alabama's offensive line starting to solidify itself and create a certain type of presence or protection presence for Ty Simpson that's allowing this passing game to be as electric as it's been, so and efficient as it's been. So it's going to be a tale of the trenches for me. And I think when you look at it, man, just at that matchup, Georgia's D-line and Alabama's O-line, that's going to be a key factor in this game. Whoever can start to win that one early and establish that push in the run game, and I'm talking about for Georgia, if they play light box, Alabama should be able to average, you know, anywhere from 3.5 to 4 yards per carry on the inside zone running game to say that that's a successful run game, and being able to maintain that play call balance is going to be dependent upon what this O-line could do early on in this game. So I look forward to be a good one, man. I think Georgia be coming out ready, and I think Alabama's offensive line is primed for this one.
Yeah, I think the run game is like we all get caught up with the passing numbers and everything and Ryan Williams and how improved this Georgia receiver group is. But Kirby Smart is 1-6 against Alabama, and the team that has won the rushing matchup has won every single one of those 7 matchups. Like, so it's definitely going to come down to that once again. And obviously Georgia was able to win. Gunnar Stockton was able to throw for 300 yards against Tennessee, but I think it was the 198 on the ground that allowed them to just keep Tennessee honest. And Gunnar Stockton's got to be a part of that attack for Georgia. But that's one thing I'm interested in, because all these other teams for Alabama that have given Georgia trouble on the road or on the ground have had a running element for the quarterback. And Ty Simpson isn't a statue, but he's not Jalen Milroe or Tua or Bryce Young, you know.
No.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it because I feel like Garner Stockton has utilized his legs to help this Georgia run game. To be honest, I've been looking across some of the coverage here on Georgia, and a lot of people are kind of saying what Alabama fans are saying. They feel like the run game isn't effective, and I don't know, man. When you look at the way that Mike Bobo has kind of been traditionally established his play call, especially in big games. This is the type of game where the 4-2-5 Kane Wommack style of run defense is built for, not the read option where you're going to try to attack the perimeter. Those with your running quarterback. So I think it's going to be harder for Gunnar Stockton to be effective in the run game with his legs in this game, knowing that this defense is kind of more designed to defend that style of running quarterback. Now you get into the schematics of Georgia covering Ty out the box. The difference between last year and this year, or the last 2 times we've seen Georgia and Alabama play, is they've had a specific spy element in just about every designed defensive play call. We've seen them literally make sure they had a spy somewhere in that second level trying to spy Jalen Milroe. What type of adjustments do we see knowing that you have a quarterback that can utilize his legs, but more so is a pocket presence and want to utilize his arm? And how does that affect with the type of pressures we see? Because I think in order to really disrupt Ty Simpson, with Florida State climbed the line of scrimmage, and he still threw for 60%. So completion percentage, so no turnovers. And I think he's a lot more comfortable now. It's going to be a task, man. It's a lot of things that I see as far as advantages that Alabama come into this game with. But that's one of the key factors. You stated it, man.
Yeah, I feel like Alabama's running game is also just going to look a lot different in this game no matter what than what it did last year, because you have, yes, like Milroe was the rushing threat, but like I feel like even more importantly than that, like Milroe was really their only source of rushing at all against Georgia last year. He was destroying them in the first half of that game. But like Jam Miller really wasn't doing a ton in that game. And it's big getting him back now, but it's like it's just going to be a whole different type of scheme for Alabama in that game that they're going to have to be prepared for. And Georgia on the other side doesn't really have the guys up front on the defensive line that they had last year, but like their inside linebackers, I still feel like are good enough on the second level to like where they're going to put a lid on the run most of the time.
We hope.
I've seen some things, some similarities between Alabama's inside linebacker room and Georgia's. One thing is, and this is a surprise for me. We've seen Georgia for probably the last 6-7 seasons, man. The inside linebacker room just produces first round talent. You know, you have the next first rounder up. So I think this year you actually have some guys that are still developing. You know, as much as they are veteran presence, I don't think that they're at their peak or they're peaking in their development. So being called to play a lot more reps and being a lot more impactful moments, I think right there is where you're going to see the kind of the test between compared to Alabama's linebackers. You talking about Nakai Hill Green, who just came from Colorado, you know, over 400 snaps in his career. Deontay Lawson in his 5th year. Justin Jefferson in his 3rd year at Alabama. So we're talking about just a contrast of presence and then effectiveness. Both teams are struggling with missing tackles from that position. I know Alabama's game 1 against Florida State, of the 14 missed tackles, the inside linebacker core accounted for, I think, 8 of them, 8 out of the 14. And you're talking about those are your guys that are supposed to be doing the run fits on the interior run game. They're supposed to be keying off or keying to the quarterback in the option read, whatever. The assignments are, the keys are, these are the guys missing the most tackles, and we haven't seen that problem in the past 2 weeks. Can we continue to see the effective tackling for the Alabama inside linebacker room? And then they just got to fly around. If we see effort from this Alabama inside linebacker room, same with Georgia, this could be the type of game we expect it to be from when it comes to the performance from our inside linebackers.
Agreed. And I kept thinking about like Gunnar Stockton, how he was performing against Tennessee. What was going through your mind, gentlemen, like in the 4th quarter of that matchup against Tennessee? Because that could be a key to how Alabama stops Stockton, and because like whatever Tennessee was doing in the first half, that's definitely going to be the key for Alabama right there.
I'll let Bo go first because I think I know what he's going to say.
I mean, Gunnar Stockton in the 4th quarter, I just thought was really big time. I mean, he went into this game with a ton of concerns about his ability to throw the ball downfield. He went into he went into the game with a ton of questions about his level of confidence overall, and there was just a weird feeling about him. Like Kirby Smart had said that he wanted to see Gunnar recreate in the games what he had been doing in practice, and it's like. You hear that, against Austin P is just kind of weird, but he was so huge in that 4th quarter. He hits that beautiful back shoulder pass to London Humphreys on 4th down for the touchdown with their back against the wall and everything on the line. And like, you don't want to get caught up in one game like that too much. But I think when you're looking for like a real quarterback that you feel like you can win with and you can trust in those moments, stuff like that is what you need to see.
Yeah, and I'll steal Bo's line here because he didn't say it, what he said on our show, but I don't think we've ever changed our opinion on a player more after one game than we did with Gunnar Stockton in that Tennessee game. Because all off season, the game I was most worried about, and I said it this way all off season as well. Tennessee could be the 4th or 5th best team Georgia plays for all we know by the end of the season. But that was the number 1 game I was like most concerned about all off season, just because of it being behind after 2 cupcakes. It's essentially the first game of the season. You're going on the road in Neyland Stadium with a quarterback making his first SEC start of his career. Like we obviously saw him against Notre Dame in the college football playoff. Like he's still the backup, and we saw him in the second half of Texas, but this was the first real game I felt like kind of with Gunnar Stockton as QB1 at Georgia. And I mean, he definitely responded. Like just that play to London Humphreys, the hump nail boot, as we're trying to start that trend, was just such a massive play. And it just a perfect throw, perfect catch. Like I haven't been a part of a Georgia moment like that. I feel like it's been in a long time of just a game where it did not look like Georgia was going to lose or that Georgia was going to win, and you pull it out on 4th and 6.
Yeah. But I will say it's going to be fun seeing all these position battles on Saturday. You know, it's going to be quite a shootout on Saturday, but we'll definitely dive into that later tonight.